Good morning and welcome to 50 Years of Chess. I'm Robert Radford and I want to bring a game to you from the 30th of October 2012 today. My opponent was Martin White. He was rated in ELO terms today about 1922 and I was about 1840. Just a word about Martin. We've played many times. Every game drawn except for one, which was the most recent one, which I lost after blundering in the double rook endgame. Very gracious player, very quiet and very respectful. Always dressed very smartly, shirt and tie, and have a lot of time for him. I think he's a very nice guy. Martin is one of a certain type of chess players, but their style. He played a lot of cautious, careful chess. He wasn't an aggressive player as such, but he knew how to win a game if he needed to, and finish it, or at least most of the time he did. He's about 1900 today, so he's still playing well. And this is the game we played back in 2012. Martin was white and he opened with c4. So he's played an English opening, but it can be played just like a reverse Sicilian, which is what Martin does here. He's playing g3 like a accelerated dragon type thing. And out comes the knight. So it allows me, because it's this type of opening, it's a positional opening in some sense, once it's played, but it allows black to comfortably get to an equal position in quite quick time. So now he's moved his knight in the middle, and I'm going to drop my bishop back because I don't want an exchange at this time. He's just getting his pieces out and everything now. So now he's trying to expand on his queen side. If I allowed this to happen, I'd be in a lot of trouble, because with that what we call dragon bishop on g2, he would have a strong h1, a8 diagonal, and I would be under a lot of pressure, because the plan is to push the pawns, get the rook behind, and apply pressure down the queen side. This is where Martin is trying to make inroads. That's his plan. So I played a5 to stem that, which was important. I had to play it. And now he's played e3, d6, knight to e2. He wants to keep that diagonal open for the bishop, which is why he's gone there. But he can also reinforce the knight on d5 by playing knight e to c3. So I've played this system myself. It's a good system. It works well. And this is the type of opening that suits players like Martin. They like to be slow but very careful, and they believe in self-preservation. He does draw a lot of games, but it's not because he's not a good player, it's because he is a good player. He's one of these that's hard to beat players. And I found that throughout the times we played, I always found Martin to be extremely hard to beat, to get the better of. And he's usually always kept me quiet, and I like to play aggressively. I'm different from him, but our two styles, when we meet, it's usually they counteract each other. So I castled, Martin castled, and then I took the knight before he could play the other knight to c3, which is what I think he was probably going to do. So I took that, and he retook with the pawn. He could have retook with the bishop and kept that diagonal open, but by playing bishop h3, attacking the rook, he would probably have to bring the bishop back, and I'd be able to swap it off, or he'd have to go rook e1, which I don't think is what he would do. So I went knight e7. Martin played b3, and I played bishop f5. Sorry, d4. Now this is interesting because he wants to get rid of his double pawn, and it's a good way to do it, because if I take that pawn, he can take with a knight. That's one way of doing it. And if I take the knight, he takes with the queen, and so that keeps his pawns undoubled. And It's pretty good. So I went back to b6 with the bishop, and so I took, and there you go, no double pawns. He's got that sorted, and he's also got a good chance of, if he can ever push that d pawn, a nice attack on that b7 pawn with his bishop. So he then went knight to c3, because he wants to make sure he keeps control of that d5 pawn, which is quite powerful at this time. He could push e4 as well, and f4. There's a lot of things he can do here. He's got possibilities. So I played queen d7. I want to connect my rooks, but at the same time, I want to have that queen and bishop bearing down on h3 on his king side. So he's played bishop b2, and now he's connected everything. The only thing is his rooks are not connected yet. His queen's still on the back rank, but Stockfish gives us equal 0-0 at the moment, so I'm quite happy with my situation. So I'm looking for an early swap of that bishop so that he can never have that diagonal for any longer. And to my surprise, he took the bishop. I was really surprised with this. Usually, most players don't swap that bishop on there. They wait for the bishop to take the fianchetted bishop and then retake the king. But I think Martin thought, well, what's the problem? You know, there's nothing attacking me. It's only the queen around there. He can deal with that. So that's what he decided to do. But my bishop is being a problem to him because he can't advance the f pawn at the moment. I didn't realise this is what his plan was. So he went knight to a4, and I really should have gone back to a7 here. This is what Stockfish is saying, and but I didn't, and I decided I'd come up with a plan. I looked long and hard, and I wanted to really attack him, and to do that for me was to go knight g6, and after knight takes, pawn takes, then push that pawn on and play rook a6 and swing it across to g6. If I could do that, I would have a good attack. Where it would lead, I don't know, but it's the way I like to play. So I went knight g6, and he did take the bishop, and I took the pawn. And then when he played rook c1, he's got a real good game now. He's got a slight plus on me, 0.6, and maybe I'll regret that, I don't know. But I pushed the pawn on, which was the next part of my plan, and I had to have that knight on g6 to protect the e5 pawn as well at this time, but not once I go for my plan, which I'm going to continue with. It's good to have a plan. If you've got a plan and you aim for it, and it's not going to cost you too much, and go this way, then do it. This is how you win games. You don't win very many games if you don't have a plan and a strategy and try to attack your opponent. Martin, the way he plays, just nice and easy, nice and careful, nothing risky, and you usually always get a result. You very rarely lose a game, whereas I would lose a lot more games because I often took, we could say chances, but I often wanted to what I was all about. I wanted to attack as much as I could. So Martin here played rook c7, and he's now attacking that b pawn, but he's also looking at pushing that pawn on, maybe the d pawn, because it's a passed pawn and could be very powerful. So now I played the rook up to a6. Now this is where I can swing my rook across after knight h4. How will he deal with this? He saw what I was trying to do and played f4. Now this is why I shouldn't have swapped the bishop and put it on a7 and not had this problem what I've got now, because my plan's not going to work, because the moment I play knight to h4, you just play either the rook or the queen onto the second rank, and then there's nothing I can do really. I did want to see it through because I did have the plan of playing rook g6. So here you are, I'm threatening checkmate. Martin's stopping that with his queen. After rook g6, he's got to deal with this. A sack on g3 in a minute. Not yet, but in a minute. Oh, well, now it's really hard because he's brought his rook up to f2. He's really making sure. So he's safe. So I played knight to f5 because my knight is no longer required there. And I've got plans to keep an attack going, because if you look, I can play knight takes on g3, and if he retakes and I take with my queen, he has to go on either h1 or g1, or f1 rather, and then queen down to g1, checkmate. I think the knight takes is the move I would be playing. So I've also, one other thing, I'm also thinking, it keeps my attack going, but it gives me a chance to get my knight back to d6 and defend both those pawns, which white is attacking, both the b pawns. So Martin completely locks out any chance of me having anything over on his queen side with rook g2. Mr. Super Safe, and he does tend to play safe. It's hard to beat, as I told you. So I dropped the knight back to d6, and I kept those two pawns now safe for the time being. I'm hitting the a pawn now. So Stockfish has given me a 0.3 advantage, which is hardly anything with black, but it's still good. I played rook to e8, which dropped down to 0.1. I don't really know why. I didn't think it was that bad a move, but no, well, anyway, I went back queen f5, and Martin played queen c2. At this stage now, he feels get the queens off would be good, because he's got that pass pawn, and he's got the bishop for the knight, and it's all looking good for him. But I wasn't going to do that. I decided that that bishop had to go, because it's just such a good bishop. It's locked in there. It's what you call a monster bishop, and I had to take it. And it's not going to go queen takes queen because the rook takes queen. So he took the rook, and I took the pawn. So I had to give up the exchange, which is not good. I'm 0.3 down on Stockfish now, but that's still not too bad. I'm holding, and he played queen to d1 to stop the checkmate on e1 with the queen, and I came into e3 check. He went in the corner, and Stockfish suggested I went knight e4. I did consider it, but I thought once he'd played rook back c2 with the other rook on c7, it's probably nothing. So I then moved my rook up one square to attack this pawn on d5, and he did bring the other rook back, really, and it's gone out on rook f5. So I'm still looking for a way of trying to get a sneaky win or something, because his rook won't be able to go back to g1. So he's brought that rook across to stop any kind of thing I might be thinking of. So queen back to b6. It's fair to say that we were both getting in time trouble here, and I especially was really getting in critical time trouble. I could have took the pawn on b3, but I was a bit concerned about my back rank with those rooks. And then Martin played this move, queen d3, and I just didn't see what really he was trying to do except tap my rook. So I just moved it back a square, because like I said, I'm in time trouble. And then to my horror, I realised he's got rook c8 check, knight takes c8, and then rook e8 mate. Yes, he had a checkmate, and I missed it. But so did Martin. He didn't see the mate either, and he played rook. I thought that's why he went to queen e3, but he was just attacking. So he played queen e3. So that's good for me. And at this point, we agreed a draw. I think Martin offered me a draw, and because he felt the pawn was blockaded on d5, I was okay. So it may have been me offered the draw. It usually was, but think on this occasion it may have been him because he was the last player to move. And so there you go. It was a bit of a fighting draw. I did try to take the game to him, but super solid. I applaud him for that. So well done, Martin, for not checkmating me. That was a real boost to just see that. I was scared to death at the time when I moved the rook back, and I thought, oh no. Had it been a more adventurous player, a more attack-minded player, you'd have instantly seen it. But perhaps because Martin plays the way he does, is perhaps why he missed it. And of course, we were both in a bit of time trouble, and we had to make moves. We were, not just me, Martin also was in time trouble, so we put it down to that. So, thanks for watching this game. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll bring you another game very soon. Bye.